Good day, future doctors and medical technologists. Welcome back again to another episode of Histopathology Lecture with Mr. Neil. I'll be your professor for today. Today, we're going to talk about the Histopath lecture topic number 5, titled Abnormalities in Cell Growth. Okay, for you to know better, understand the abnormalities in cell growth, I hope you reviewed your cellular adaptation, because the abnormalities in cell growth topic is the continuation of your cellular adaptation. Okay, in cellular adaptation we talk about hypertrophy, hyperplasia, atrophy, dysplasia, and metaplasia. So those cellular adaptation may be pathologic or physiologic. Whether you like it or not, the body tends to adapt to changes. Okay, so it may be physiologic or pathologic, but here in abnormalities in cell growth, since these are abnormalities, you can therefore conclude that I am referring to the pathologic side of things, because diba, cellular adaptations happen whether in a good sense or in a bad sense, it may be physiologic or pathologic. Okay, so here in abnormalities in cell growth, we'll be able to categorize the different changes in the body, the different adaptations that made by the body. Okay, so let's start. Your abnormalities in cell growth can be categorized into 3. No, we have the retrogressive, the progressive, and degenerative. So this table will guide you to where are those cellular adaptation belongs to. For example, the atrophy. The atrophy was already discussed during our cellular adaptation, so it belongs to the retrogressive. Hypertrophy and hyperplasia under progressive, dysplasia and metaplasia under degenerative. Okay, so these other terminologies here will be furtherly discussed as we go through with the topic. Okay, so let's start. Let's start by talking about retrogressive. So retrogressive has 2 categories. Under here we have developmental defects as well as atrophy. Okay, under developmental defects, from the word developmental, it means from pagkabata pa, from your fetus era. Okay, from the moment you were conceived po, if you have developmental defects, these are the outcomes po na nangyayari. Okay, ito yung mga pwede mangyari. Okay, under developmental defects. So, since this is an abnormality in cell growth, and then this is termed as retrogressive. Retrogressive, it means you can therefore deduce that the organs here are much smaller than normal. Okay, the organs here are much smaller than normal. Okay, so let's talk about the different types of developmental defects. We have the aplasia, or the incomplete development of an organ, the incomplete development of an organ. So ibig sabihin, guys, that the organ is there but it is not yet, hindi lang siya kompleto. Okay, incomplete development of an organ. It might be an organ is missing some parts. That is aplasia po. We also have hypoplasia, which is a failure of an organ to fully develop. Okay, this refers to an organ that fails to reach maturity. Okay, so it fails to reach maturity. So ibig sabihin, hindi siya nag-fully mature, so hindi siya nag-fully develop. When you talk about agenesia or agenesia, bahala kayo paano yung pronounce, it refers to the complete non-appearance of an organ. Ibig sabihin, the organ is not there. Most common type of agenesia is the renal agenesia, to which, di ba, we have one pair of kidney, the left and the right. Sometimes, some individuals tend to develop only one kidney. The other kidney is completely absent, and that is a form of agenesia. There is a failure of an complete non-appearance of an organ. We also have yung tinatawag natin na atresia, the failure of an organ to form an opening. So we have this type of developmental defects po sa mga bata na minsan po, if I don't know if you heard, there are some cases to which yung anal region po ng bata is wala pong butas, so walang lalabasan po yung kanyang poop. So ibig sabihin, that is an example of atresia. There is the failure of an organ to form an opening, so walang butas. Okay, that is a developmental defect po talaga. There are other defects naman na yung the valves in the heart are not there, it was closed. So ibig sabihin, it is an example of atresia po, a developmental defect. So expected ninyo that if you have developmental defects, that these organs na the organs involved here are much smaller than their normal na counterpart. For example, if you have aplasia, since the organ is incomplete, may mga missing na parts, you expect that the organ is much smaller. Same with hypoplasia, no? Since it does not reach the pure maturity, you expect that the organ is smaller po. We also have yung tinatawag natin atrophy. This is a retrogressive type of abnormality in cell growth, no? To which there is an acquired decrease of the size of a normally developed organ. So these are example po yung example po nito na na-discuss natin sa cellular adaptation for the atrophy is yung tinatawag natin na yung in the physiologic side po, no, acquired decrease of size. For example, yung mga starvation atrophy of tissues, vascular atrophy, those things po can lead to a decrease in the size of an organ. Okay? Let's talk about the progressive naman. For the progressive, I think you're already familiar with this one, no? So we have the hypertrophy, which is the increase in the cell size. Okay? We have the hyperplasia, which is the increase in cell number. Okay? Hypertrophy may increase the size of the organ, while the hyperplasia tends to increase the mass, no, the weight of the organ. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, all of this po is progressive. So, pag sinabi nyo progressive, guys, kung sa retrogressive, the organs are much smaller. For the progressive, the organs are much bigger, no, than the normal counterpart. Okay? Kasi lumalaki po talaga. If there is an increase in cell size, therefore, there will be an increase in the organ size as well. If there is an increased number of cells, therefore there is increased number of the organ mass, and sometimes can lead to increase in organ size. Very good. Okay, so we're going to talk about the next type of abnormalities in cell growth. The third one, the degenerative. So I know you are all familiar with this one. We have dysplasia, metaplasia. Okay, dysplasia means disordered growth or presence of abnormal cells within a tissue. These are reversible. Okay, so as what we talked about before, no, dysplasia, these are still reversible. But for the metaplasia, they are also reversible, but minsan matagal po talaga sila ma-reverse na. It takes some time. That's why minsan makategorize na sila as irreversible. But in due time, no, they will become normal again since these are reversible naman. For the anaplasia, okay, for the anaplasia, there is a lack of differentiation of cells, no? So these are irreversible. Example po ng ating tawag yan, anaplasia po, no, is during the time po ng ating embryonic development, di ba? Instead of from the stem cell, no, instead of mag-mature sila into the different types of, let's say for example, this one will become the fibroblast, this will become a fibrocyte muna kasi yun yung immature form, no. Instead of mag-differentiate siya into the different klase ng mga cell types, no, is hindi nila nagagawa. Okay? Hindi nila nagagawa. So, ibig sabihin, these are group of immature, no, cells that lack differentiation. So, if you're going to take a look po sa inyong blood cells po, di ba, we have the 5 types of leukocytes, no? We have the neutrophil, we have the basophil, no? We have the eosinophil. These are your granulocytes. We also have the monocyte, and then we have the lymphocytes. Okay, this type of cells, meron silang lineage po kasi, okay, merong lineage ang lymphocytes, no, para maging lymphocyte siya, meron din lineage ang neutrophils para maging neutrophils siya. In this case po, hindi po na-achieve ito, okay, hindi siya nag-differentiate into these different types of cells. So, anong meron sa bloodstream? Ang meron sa bloodstream na matira is the immature cells because they lack differentiation, and those are irreversible po, no. That is what we call anaplasia. Okay, for the neoplasia po, neo means new, no, means new growth, plasia means growth, no. So ibig sabihin new growth, this is uncontrolled proliferation of cells with no purpose, no. So these are example po ng ating mga cancer cells, no. The neoplasia is an cancer cell. So these cancer cells po tend to metastasize or proliferate, no, fast, okay, and sometimes they take over the organ. Okay, since they take over the organ, therefore the organ now will be dysfunctional. So, ibig sabihin, if the organ is dysfunctional, you will really experience the signs and symptoms po of this pag-take over niya. For example, sa ating uterus, for example, if the patient is experiencing po yung mga let's say for example, endometrium neoplasia. So, ibig sabihin, there are new growth of cells in the endometrium. So, over time, no, those cells will tend to crowd or kanang agawan na ng space yung mga normal cells doon. So, take a look at this picture po, okay? We have the normal cells and then we have the cancer cells. The cancer cells are now eating this particular area, okay? And they are dividing fast. Okay? So, let's talk more about the kanang sa tumor na part or sa mga neoplasm, no, as we go through with the next slide. For the tumor slash neoplasm, no, tumor or neoplasm are interchangeable na sila, no, same lang meaning nila. They are mass of neoplastic cells. So, how would a doctor or a pathologist po identify a tumor? Okay? So, let's see. No, the general characteristic of a tumor, it may resemble and function like a normal cell, no. So, makita ni doc na okay, this type of cell, no, kaya ganun sabi ko guys, no, cancer cells are very kanang invasive yun na sila guys, no, mukapit yun na sila, and they have sometimes the ability to induce hormone response, mga nga normal processes in the body. So they hide po, no. And how do they do this hiding? By mimicking, no, the function of a normal cell. Okay? So that's why minsan kanang if the tumor metastasize from, let's say for example, from the liver to the lungs, no, nagmetastasize siya sa lungs, no, it will bear the characteristic of a liver cell, no. Meron yung part dyan na mag-bear siya ng characteristic to which ma-identify ni doc ngayon na okay, dili mao ni ang origin ani or mao na jud ni ang pinaka-origin sa tumor. Ingana siya guys, no, because they resemble and function like a normal cell. So your tumor may be categorized as an autonomous or a parasitic nature. So kapag autonomous sila, they are non-responsive to normal growth factors. Okay, they are non-responsive to normal growth factors. So, ibig sabihin, they don't need the different growth factors such as your growth hormones, no, para mag-proliferate. No, they can proliferate on their own, autonomous gani, no, they can function without any without the needs the needs of the normal cell. They can autonomous na siya. When you say parasitic naman, no, parasitic in nature, no, they compete with cell for the metabolic needs. Ibig sabihin, this type of cell, tumor cells po tend to kill, no, disregard yung kanilang mga neighboring cells na katabi, and then they will get the nutrients po na dapat para sa mga normal cells. Excuse me. They will get the nutrition and multiply while the normal cells undergo necrosis and death. So para siyang mag-compete with the normal cells. Ang autonomous wala, no, mag-grow lang jud siya on top of the normal cells or alongside the normal cells without competing. Okay? So yun yung po. But nevertheless, these are all tumors. So these are all as much as possible, we don't want to get this. Okay? So we have different parts of the tumor. We have the parenchyma and then the stroma. For here we have the parenchyma, and then this is the stroma. Okay? So the parenchyma, these are the active elements of a tumor. Ibig sabihin, they are the ones who are actively dividing. Since the parenchyma po are the ones who are actively dividing, here you can see yung sabi ko kanina, no, different changes sa cell, no. You can see the cells here actively undergoing mitosis, nagka-divide. So tama ba na you can see hyperchromatism dito? Yes, no. You can also see hyperchromatism as well as presence of mitotic bodies because that would signify that the tumor cell is actively dividing. Okay, so bakit meron tayong tinatawag na autonomous and parasitic in nature? Because ganito po yan. If autonomous po yung tumor, no, if the autonomous ang tumor, mag-grow lang siya pero without destroying, no? Dili niya magawa ng nutrients yung neighboring cells, therefore dili siya makakos kaayo, no, ng necrosis, or it is mo tinatawag natin na benign, no, benign. For the parasitic in nature naman, no, these are the ones who will compete talaga sa cell, no, sa neighboring cells nila. That's why namamatay yung mga neighboring cells. These are yung tinatawag natin na malignant. Okay? So we're going to talk about this one, no, in the next slide. Let's move sa next slide natin. Ayan. Okay, by the way po, yung kanina, the parenchyma and stroma, those are the things na needed by the tumor to grow, ha? Okay, so from the different cells, they will form the stroma, they will also form the parenchyma. Parenchyma will actively divide hanggang sa magdami na ang parenchyma. Okay, so since in nature, it can be autonomous and parasitic. So, kung titignan ninyo dito guys, no, this can be classified your autonomous kasi it does not, diba? Autonomous tends to non-responsive to normal growth factors, and then sometimes they do not compete with the normal cells. So these are yung ating malignant, yung ating parasitic in nature. So let's see. So we have different classification of tumor, no? Benign and malignant. Ano ba pinagkaiba nila? In terms of cell death, no, the benign tumor usually does not cause death except for infants and brain tumors, and malignant usually causes death. Okay? The reason for the benign, na dili sila makakos ng death daw, except for infants, no, target ang infants ito because the infants manggod are still developing. Kaya sila namamatay kung meron silang tumors po na infant pa sila. The body cannot really adapt because the body is still immature, no, not fully developed. Okay, kaya sila namamatay. And then for the brain tumors, no, since the brain is, kahit sabihin natin po na autonomous yung benign yung tumor na nandyan sa brain mo, sometimes, no, since nasa brain man siya, it is the body's control, 'di ba? Controller po yung brain. So therefore, nakaka-cause po siya ng cell death because baka maapektuhan yung pag-iisip ng isang tao. And sometimes the tumor might block the blood vessels, no? Can lead to cell death. Pero if the tumor po na sa other parts ng body is benign, no, sometimes it does not cause cellular death. Whereas for the malignant, yes, since they are parasitic in nature, they really can cause death po talaga. Okay? For the differentiation po, no, sa benign, no, sa benign, these are well differentiated, and malignant, some lack differentiation. So, for the differentiation na part po, the benign tumors are well differentiated because they grow, diba, alongside the normal cells. So, ma-differentiate jud na ninyo sila. For the malignant naman, since the very fast pace po yung kanilang pag-grow, no, because they compete with the normal cell, you cannot really differentiate na ang muka ng malignant tumor. Bakit? Kasi nga wala nang cells na to compare it with, because may tendency po kasi na ma-occupy na nila yung buong organ. So lahat sila magkakamuka. So therefore the pathologies may there will be a lack of differentiation in some areas. Okay? Unlike sa benign po na since they grow on top of that, meron pat gyapon na hindi lahat magod ma-cover. Okay? Ma-cover ng tumor. So, the differentiation differs po. Well differentiated for the benign, lack differentiation for the malignant. You also have the rate of growth, no? For the benign, it is usually progressive and slow and may come to a standstill or regress, no? Minsan, mag-stop na lang ganin na sila mag-grow, guys. Okay? Or mahawa na sila or mawala na lang yung anak. For the malignant naman, no, it may be erratic, no? It may be slow to rapid. It's either pas-pas or bagal kaayo. It depends. Okay? For the benign tumor, it usually does not metastasize. Okay? While the malignant frequently metastasize. Nagkakalat yun ang malignant, affecting more and more neighboring cells. Ibig sabihin, since they compete, they are parasitic in nature, they compete to other cells po in the body. Okay? So, let's talk about the general tumor nomenclatures, no, after this. So, let's tingnan mo natin itong picture. So, we have the normal duct here, no? The normal kanang duct, ibig sabihin meron siyang butas, no? We have the basal lamina. Okay? So, here, as you can see, the benign tumor, no, is still does not care sa other cells nila, no? Nandiyan lang sila, no? Nag-grow lang talaga sila. Okay? While in the malignant tumor, guys, no, it tends to overcrowd the cell kasi nga nag-compete sila, and these other cells na kanilang undergoes necrosis. So, ibig sabihin namamatay, causing now ang mabilis na pagkalat na naman nila sa other areas. Okay? So, I want everyone to, if you're going to understand no, pag mabasa mo result, pag sinabing benign, no, ibig sabihin it does not cause usually does not cause that. So, benign medyo okay pa, makahinga pa mo, no? Malignant jud, dili na jud na siya. Okay? So, para meron kayong idea po, no, on how we categorize, no, the tumors. I mean, how do we give the names of the tumors po? We have these general tumor nomenclature. Okay? So, for the benign, no? Malignant. For the benign, if it is epithelial ang origin niya, whether epithelial, connective, or mesenchyme po yung origin po, it ends with oma. Oma. Yan, oma. Okay? Oma. Pag malignant po, tas epithelial ang origin, no? Epithelial ang origin, that is carcinoma. No? Carcinoma. Pag epithelial yung origin po, carcinoma. Kapag kapag connective tissue naman or mesenchyme yung origin niya, tas malignant po, the doctors usually term the tumor as sarcoma, no? Connective tissue. That's why makikita kayo ng iba't ibang type of type of tumor, 'di ba? So, let's say for example, if the person is experiencing kanang tumor in the bone, no? Meron tayong tinatawag na mga bone sarcoma. Okay? Bone sarcoma. So, ibig sabihin, bone is a type of connective tissue. Tama? Is bone a connective tissue? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, bone is a connective tissue po. So, ibig sabihin, if malignant siya, no? Sarcoma po yung tawag natin dyan. Okay? So, ang example po natin dito, we have the epithelial linings of the gland, no? We call them adenoma, pag benign yung tumor, no? We also have yung tinatawag natin adenocarcinoma pag malignant. Pag lymph vessels naman yung affected, no, we term that as lymphangioma. We also have the lymphangiosarcoma, okay, for the malignant. Okay? Iba naman yung tinatawag natin na monstrous tumors, no? Monstrous tumors, that is teratoma. Okay? Monstrous tumors, guys, may contain kanang different types of cells, no? Usually ang monstrous teratoma, guys, kay meron yan silang like iba't ibang klase ng cell lineage ang nandyan pag binuksan. Ang nakita ko dati, guys, I've seen teratomas with teeth, with hair, yung iba gani may mata pa, no? Dyan siya, lahi-lahi na lineage po yung nagatubo. Okay? So, let's talk about the grading of tumors. For the grading of tumors, no, there are attempts to establish an estimate of the level of malignancy of a tumor. This is based on cytologic differentiation of tumor cells and number of mitosis. Okay, so we categorize them as well-differentiated and undifferentiated. So when you talk about well-differentiated, guys, no, these are tumor cells that resembles the normal cells. Pag undifferentiated po, ito yung medyo malala because the tumor cell does not resemble normal cells at all. Ibig sabihin, maano talaga siya, makita talaga siya na makikita talaga na ay lahi na siya ng cells. Ibig sabihin that the organ is comprises or composed na ngayon ng mga cancer cells, na yung mga cells na dapat hindi para dun sa organ na yon, because the normal cells that are supposed to be there were really killed na, no, nag-undergo na ng necrosis, no, na kill na sila. Ang nagpalit na is the cancer cell. Okay? So we have different types of grading po, no. These are the different grades, okay? So try ninyo understand, no. Pag grade 1 pa yung classification, the differentiated cells are 100 to 75. So ibig sabihin, no, most of the cell po na nandoon na nakita ni Doc under the microscope resembles normal cell. Okay? Ibig sabihin, they can still function normally. Okay? Pag grade 2 naman, 75 to 50 na lang ang nag-resemble sa normal cell. Pag grade 3 kay 50 to 25% na lang. Pag grade 4 is 25 to 0, no? Wala na talaga. Kung titingnan niyo, for the differentiated cells, pababa po yung natin, no? Pababa 100 to 75. Ibig sabihin, manggod dito sa differentiated cell, the higher the number, the better po. The higher the number, the better for the differentiated cell. The higher the percentage po, the better. Okay? For the undifferentiated naman, kung titignan ninyo, ang kanyang is pataas. Kasi ang goal natin dito is the lower the number, the better po. The lower the number, the better po. Kung titignan natin sa grade 1, no, 175. Dito naman 0, 25. Because 25%, let's say for example, 75% ang nakita ni Doc na differentiated cell. 25% of the 25% of the counterpart would be undifferentiated. So therefore, 25% is dili kaayo the tumor cell does not resemble the normal cell. May nakita si Doc ng mga tumor cell pero 25% lang. Okay? Pwede niya yung makategorize as grade 1. Okay? So, dito po, the lower, the better. Dito naman sa differentiated, the higher, the better. Kung titignan natin sa grade 4 po, no, the grade 4, tignan yung grade 4, 75 to 100%. Grade 4 tumors po are very, very, grabe na parasitic, no? Grabe na nila bilis metastasize. Okay? So, this is under the Borders classification po ng tumor, the Borders classification of tumor. So, ito siya na classification po is actually subjective po siya. Subjective siya in a sense na kung saan there are certain limitation po, no? So, these are the limitation of the grading. Una, it is subjective po kasi. Subjective siya on the skills of the pathologist na yun. Though there is no doubt, no, na pag naging pathologist ka, magaling ka talaga. Kasi naging pathologist ka man. But, it goes with experience, mga good guys, no? So, it does not mean na graduate ang isang tao sa isang bagay, no? Kaya, ano na talaga ka ng magaling na siya. Oo, magaling siya, pero hindi pa siya super galing. Kailan ka maging super galing? It goes with experience. Like, for example, sila Doc Grahida po. Sila Doc Grahida, they are very fast in reading. Kung mabilis sila magbasa, no, ng mga slides. Ibig sabihin, it is based on their experience as well as since it is based on their experience, you can conclude that it's still subjective. Nakadepende sa pagbasa ng pathologies. Next, we have this tinatawag natin na higher grades of tumor have more tendency to metastasize. So, example, if the grade na binigay mo ngayon, na binasa mo is, for example, itong particular slide na nabasa mo is grade 2 pa siya ngayon, no? May tendency, or grade 3, may tendency that it can, a year later po, na if you're going to read ka ng sa same patient po, no, it may bear the different result because higher grades of tumors have more tendency to metastasize. But why? Because they have more undifferentiated cells. Okay, once again, ang goal natin dito is the lower the better. Tama? Kasi yun yung gusto natin, na mas lower ang undifferentiated cell. Ibig sabihin, mas less likely na ang meron ka is malignant, no? So, yan po yung that is the limitation number 2. For number 3 naman, no, most sarcomas cannot be graded. Yes, this is true po. Most sarcomas really are cannot be graded. Why? Because these are our connective tissues po. Diba, remember sarcoma? Ginagamit natin ang term na sarcoma if connective tissue or mesenchyme yung origin po ng tumor. Since the connective tissue is constantly po na nandyan, na needed, kasi sila man yung nag-supply, diba? For example, blood is an example of connective tissue. Yung nag-make ng inyong hang-ground substance, yung mga areas dyan are all part of the connective tissue. Diba? So, yun sila guys, no? They are difficult to grade because they are needed in the body. Dili lang sila nakastay lang sa isang area. Okay? Like the blood. Constantly, nag-move na siya. Okay? So, most sarcomas cannot be graded. Okay? So, I hope you've learned a lot in abnormalities in cell growth with me. Okay? For the next topic, we're going to talk about the somatic death. Okay? So, happy to jud na guys. So, thank you so much for listening. God bless po everyone.